of being Humpty Dumpty on issues which are ZANU-PF, including, of course, trying to abuse one of our comrades whom they are constantly putting on television for this or for that. Maybe some of the issues are now sub judice. I can't comment on it, but all I can say is that some of the intelligence which is being given is definitely wrong. He mentioned the other day that my son was incarcerated by the president. It's not true. I told you, I had an interview with you today. I know who was behind the incarceration of my son in a false incarceration in May last year. And I know what the reasons why it was being done, the political reasons why it was being done. The president had nothing to do with it, and he had to come back and undo that thing, but undo it in a manner which did not arouse the anxieties that he may be interfering with the judiciary. So it had to be a long, drawn-out affair. But me, my wife, who is the Minister of Women Affairs, we know that the president had nothing to do with it. So Bombshell is wrong. Comrade Bombshell is wrong to try to accuse the president. It's not true. Rather, the people who are telling him to go on television are the ones who are behind the persecution of my son. So I'm surprised for a field combat officer. He normally has got very good intelligence, because he wouldn't have survived the war as a guerrilla fighter if his intelligence was faulty. I don't know why he is being misled by being given chicken feed. It's in intelligence circles, what is being given is called chicken feed, that my son was incarcerated by the president and that I should not have a relationship with the president because he incarcerated my son. It's not true. I want to put it on record. And I just want to say, I worked with him very well when we were in the War Veterans Association. He was in charge of my business unit. And together we are the ones who pushed for Manhize, the steel plant, to be there with him. He was the promoter of that business unit. That steel plant today is making ArcelorMittal South Africa close. We are now the champions of steel in Southern Africa. I was at ArcelorMittal 2-3 weeks ago, meeting with the executives. We are now looking at how the two countries' steel sectors can coalesce, because Zimbabwe has stolen an edge in terms of steel production in the sub-region, perhaps in sub-Saharan Africa. I did that project with a lot of support from the war veterans. It is one of the reasons why we fell out with Mugabe, because he didn't want that project since 2014. Comrade Geza was my team, was my business development manager. All I can say to him, we are making new headway about Manhize. We are going to become a major steel fabricator downstream for Southern Africa. A lot of widgets shall be made in Zimbabwe for the Zimbabwean market, for the regional market, and for the global market. And the South African car industry, which uses a lot of steel, is salivating at the prospect of having good quality virgin steel from Zimbabwe. And you know the South African car industry is big. So there are very good reasons why we may come together with South Africa and make the railways talk to each other, make the roads talk to each other, have a common tariff regime between the two countries, because pound for pound in the whole world, there is no region which should produce steel cheaper than Southern Africa. All the resources for making steel in Southern Africa are within proximity. Our competitors are China. They have to get their steel from Brazil, 12,000 kilometers away. They've got to get their iron ore from Australia, 8,000 kilometers away. They've got to get their coals, their iron ore from South Africa, 10,000 kilometers away. They get some of their nickel from Indonesia, 4,000, 6,000 kilometers away. And China still becomes the cheapest steel producer in the world because of their cheap power, energy which they have. In Southern Africa, not only are all these things within proximity, and I will surprise you, at Manhize, the mine is 7 kilometers from the blast furnace. 7 kilometers from the blast furnace. So in terms of input costs to produce steel, no country should be better than Zimbabwe. And the coking coal is only 500 kilometers away from Hwange. And if we have a straight line, it can even be shorter, between the Manhize, and it will come, that railway line. So if we've got all these ingredients for making steel within close proximity, and then we have the Zambezi River with all its cataracts from Victoria Falls to Pandankua and Barajem in Mozambique, using the same water several times to generate electricity. Then we have the Cabo Delgado gas in Mozambique and maybe the prospect of Zarabanic gas. So we should also be able to match energy costs, even outmatch China. So if we work together with South Africa, we should dictate the price of steel on the global market. This is the direction which our President Ramaphosa are taking, and it will be the main agenda of the new year. How do we integrate our two economies using the steel industry? Because there is a template in history. 3 times Germany and France fought along their border for Alsace and Lorraine because they were fighting for coal and steel and iron ore. 1870, 1914, 1939. 1951, after the Second World War, they saw their folly. They decided to have a Franco-German steel union, and they started cooperating. The EU today comes out of that union. So we have got some good things to learn again from the Germans. We want South Africa and Zimbabwe to work together in the steel sector. And we have also the Mozambican side bringing in the logistics, just like Rotterdam was bringing the logistics to the steel industry of Europe. So this is the way we want to go. The agenda of the president is going to shift away from this useless heat about who should be successor or not, because that was resolved at the Bulawayo conference. And if ever there is a way to go, it will be another congress by the party, as the president said he will not anoint. But we don't want to be given agendas by people who want to foist succession agendas as a perpetual item agenda in ZANU-PF and cause confusion. No. The president wants to go back to work. And you saw it in his minister's address when he opened cabinet a few days ago. So this is where we are going with the president. It is to make sure that we refocus, we have to address the burning issues which will make Zimbabwe be a modern country. And because steel is to what countries are, food to human beings is steel to nations or countries. We now have steel. There's nothing which will stop Zimbabwe from going forward. We are also looking at the prospect of forming a business council, a SADC business council, and we are going to tap on the global exposure of renowned Afrikaner businessmen, because they are Africans. Some of them have done well. Elon Musk has done well. Koos Becker, the one behind Tencent in China, has done well. We have many others, Andre Pina, who works for Space Shuttle. It was the Space Shuttle in America. This is a cadre of African businessmen from this continent. We have done well. So we would want to tap on the success of the Afrikaners on the global stage. But this time we want them to apply their expertise to make sure that Africa gets the capital which it needs. We want them, Afrikaners, become the avatars of capital for Africa. And we are working on having a high-level SADC business council which may include the likes of Johan Rupert. You know that each time you are in the international duty-free shop, you see a lot of those brand names. They belong to a company called Richmond from Switzerland. The owner is Johan Rupert from South Africa. This is the success of Afrikaners in business at the global stage. And we want them to be part of the new African success, because Africa needs capital. We need capital in Africa. So these are I'm giving you pointers, because these are matters which the president is very much alive to when he talks with his South African counterpart, also when he talks with his Mozambican counterparts. We want the development agenda back, not the useless noise about who should be succeeding from where in ZANU-PF, as if we have a Congress, and and the president says, if you're eligible, go to the Congress. Don't want to be anointed. Kasukwere wants to anoint somebody from outside. He's not even maybe a member of ZANU-PF. We won't allow that. So by and large, these are the issues which I felt I had to address. I strayed into other areas, but the main thing is that we want our white population to keep faith with His Excellence about the global compensation agreement. We don't want them to be strayed away from the good faith which is necessary to make that process succeed. We don't want them, especially by fellow travelers who are in the Triple C, errand Triple C, but also some ambitious miscreants who used to be ZANU-PF are now G40s. We don't want our white population. They should keep faith with the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. And we should work together in good faith to look at optimal solutions so that land in Zimbabwe can resolve historical issues, address compensation issues, and deliver prosperity to the people of Zimbabwe. Because upe ari kugofewa ndataura vanhu vakati wandei. I think I've said enough. Remember, Runesu is my comrade since 1975. We were together at Chimoyo, in Mozambique. We trained together, we fought together. He went for additional training in Romania. I went for additional training in Yugoslavia, and we worked very well together. I just am now I've got a lot of angst about the way he's being abused by people who obviously have got an agenda. And like I say, my appeal to him is that we have unfinished work in the steel sector. The prospects are just opening up. Manhize has started production.